Imagine a place bathed in the warm golden light of late afternoon. We are on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, where the gentle slope of a hillside becomes a natural amphitheater. Thousands of people, a vast sea of humanity drawn from every nearby town and village, have gathered. They have come to listen, to be healed, to simply be in the presence of a man whose words resonated with a truth they had longed to hear. The air is still, filled only with the sound of a calm, compelling voice and the quiet rustle of a crowd, completely captivated. They have been here for hours, forgetting time, forgetting hunger, forgetting everything, but the message of hope being woven before them. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the grass, a different feeling started to ripple through the crowd, a quiet, gnawing hunger. The disciples, ever practical, saw the problem growing. They approached Jesus, their faces etched with worry.
"This is a remote place," they urged,
their gestures taking in the immense crowd and the empty landscape. "And it's already getting late. Send the people away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves something to eat." It was a logical, sensible solution to an impossible problem. How could they possibly feed this many people here in the middle of nowhere? Philip, when asked, did the math and his face fell.
Even if they had the money, which they didn't, it would take a fortune to buy enough for everyone to have just a single bite.
The task was overwhelming, the need far too great for their limited resources. It was then that Andrew, ever the searcher, moved through the seated masses, his eyes scanning for any possibility, any solution, however small. His search seemed fruitless, until his gaze fell upon a young boy sitting a little apart from the others. The boy was carefully unwrapping a small parcel, his own modest dinner. He held 5 small flat loaves of barley bread and 2 little salted fish. He looked at his small meal, and then at the thousands of hungry faces around him. For a moment, you could see the hesitation, the internal conflict of a child about to give up his only food. But then a quiet courage, a flicker of profound generosity, settled in his eyes. When Andrew knelt beside him, the boy didn't hesitate. He simply extended his hands, offering up everything he had. It was a small gesture, a tiny offering in the face of an enormous need, but it was an act of pure, unhesitating trust. Andrew, perhaps marveling at this simple faith, gently took the meal and led the boy by the hand toward Jesus. When they reached Jesus, he looked not at the meager offering,
but at the boy who gave it.
A warm, kind smile spread across his face, a silent acknowledgement of the boy's selfless heart. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish into his hands. The crowd, sensing a shift, grew quiet, their attention now fully fixed on this simple, sacred moment. The disciples, following Jesus' instruction, had organized the thousands into orderly groups, seated on the green grass in companies of 50s and 100s. With the boy's small lunch in his hands, Jesus then looked up to heaven. He didn't despair at how little he held. Instead, he gave thanks. He blessed this humble gift, this symbol of a child's quiet courage, treating it not as something insignificant, but as a seed of abundance, a starting point for a miracle. Then, the miracle began to unfold. Jesus broke the loaves, and as he broke them, they did not diminish. He gave the pieces to the disciples, who began to move through the crowd, their baskets inexplicably continuously full. What began as a meal for one became a feast for thousands. You could see the look of astonishment on people's faces as the disciples approached. Hands that were empty moments before were now filled. The quiet murmurs of hunger were replaced by the sounds of joyful eating and quiet gratitude. Expressions of worry and fatigue transformed into relief and wonder. The disciples kept coming, their steps unhurried, their baskets overflowing, ensuring every single person, man, woman, and child, received not just a taste, but enough to eat until they were completely satisfied. The impossible was happening right before their eyes. When everyone had eaten their fill, when every stomach was full and every heart was content, Jesus gave another instruction. Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. The disciples, who had just witnessed the creation of abundance from almost nothing, now walked through the crowd once more, this time with their baskets to collect the leftovers. What they gathered was a testament to the scale of the miracle. From one boy's lunch that was barely enough for himself, They collected 12 full baskets of bread and fish. 12 baskets, a symbol of perfect provision and divine surplus, one for each of the disciples who had first doubted. The scene was one of profound satisfaction, a quiet field of people reflecting on the immense generosity they had just experienced. This story isn't just about a miracle that happened 2,000 years ago. It's a powerful reminder of what can happen when we offer up what we have, no matter how small it seems. The boy didn't have a solution for 5,000 people. He only had his lunch, but he gave it with a courageous and trusting heart. He gave what he had, and in the hands of the divine, his small offering was multiplied beyond all imagination. We all have something we can offer: our time, our skills, a kind word, a small resource. It may feel insignificant in the face of the world's great needs, but we are not asked to solve the whole problem. We are simply invited to offer our 5 loaves and 2 fish. When we do with a quiet courage like that young boy, we allow for the possibility of miracles. We create the space for our small acts of generosity to be multiplied in ways we can never predict, creating abundance, hope, and change far beyond our own limited capacity.